doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
So to get us going, I'm really going to just call on Jim now, Lord Jim O'Neill. And Jim, as I turn to you about the roles institutional investors can play in support of our 3.2 trillion African continental free trade area. Could even these days, who knows? And like private credit, industrial logistics infrastructure, investment opportunities, types of things. Could you just give us your view on that broader thematic and also paint a picture of this with BRICS and Africa in a post-COVID-19 investment dynamic? But before you do, Jim, for the sake of those on the call that don't know, Jim was the architect. He actually formulated through some great research that he and his team put together. He was the chairman at Goldman Sachs. Dynamic between our respective that result, and as you know, it was picked up by a number of, and that's why we have BRICS forums. Jim.
Well, thank you very much, Hubert. Perhaps I could just also beg anybody who's on this call that isn't told if they can go on mute, because I'm not sure for the others, but it's very difficult to hear if people lines open. And the other thing, let me immediately follow that without, as Hubert, you know, because that's the only way I could do it. I can only actually stay on this call for not much more than 10 minutes. Because of a previous engagement I have at 2:30, so I am very sorry about that, and I also am more than sorry because just listening to you, Hubert, as I go into answering your question, you know, thinking of myself as the person that dreamt up the BRIC acronym, which happened in my head within days of the 9/11 crisis. Of 2001, I'm somebody that realizes how each of us, as individuals or companies or policymakers or investors, respond during a crisis is often the making of us or the making of things for the subsequent era. And I've had a lot of people asking me in the past 8 weeks during the UK lockdown that's existed so far, you know, what is going to be the next big thing for the world to get us out of this mess? And most of the time, until I thought about coming to this call, my answer was probably a shift from what I'd call shareholder-dominated capitalism to stakeholder-dominated capitalism. And I do believe that pretty strongly. But possibly as part of that, but when I really think about what this gathering is about at its core, if the world is made to believe that the idea of a true African free trade area is something that is realistically going to happen in the next few years, that will be as big, not just for Africa, but probably for the world, as aspects of the BRIC acronym that I focused on. It is very, very difficult for any single place in the world to replace the staggering economic impact of China this past 20 years. China has contributed at the margin more to the world economy than the United States. And it has become twice as big as the other 3 BRIC countries put together in that period. And linked to many of the questions I've had over the 19 years of the BRIC acronym, why did I never call it BRICA with the A for Africa, and why not Nigeria, and why not South Africa, and so on? And the answer is that no individual African country just like none of the other BRIC countries can have the scale of impact that warrants being part of that acronym. But if Africa and their leaders and their policymakers and policy advisors are truly, truly committed to moving towards so much more trade between yourselves and on a free trade basis, that will probably be definitely amongst the three most important things in the world economy for the next 10 to 20 years, possibly the single biggest. And I would say, linked to the question you posed to me via email, what would be the investments issues or attractions from BRIC countries for Africa? And I as you know, Hubert, I joked with you before others joined the line. I think that would be the last of your problems, because there is plenty of capital around the world, despite all the different desires and demands on it. And people are always wanting to focus on something which they believe is exciting, incredible, and going to generate good returns. And as is well known by many people, much more expert than me on this call, one of Africa's historic problems has been how little trade is done between African countries. And it ends up, those that do trade is dominated by commodities with the Western world. But if Africa is truly embarking on this ambitious goal, it is a very exciting thing to think about. And I beg of all of you to keep me informed and posted about the progress, because I will definitely play a role in trying to highlight that and help the world investment community focus on it, as well as possibly participating with my tiny couple of sterling pounds as well. And Hubert, I'll stop that.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.